Alright, MrSotko here, and welcome back to another Company Heroes 2 replay cast, and today it is a 1v1 on Road to Kharkov between our red OKW player, Sonder Kraftfarzug Spanky, and our yellow British Forces player, Quinn Scruffy, and it is Road to Kharkov, so we have our victory points going straight across the map like so, and our munitions points on the either side of the victory point there, and the fuel points on the top side of the map and the bottom side of the map, of course. Very easy to capture your own fuel point and your own munitions point. A little bit harder to capture your opponents, and that's what matters in this game. We have the Stern Pioneers moving out to the very first territory point outside the OKW base, and we have a Kuba wagon coming in very quickly, as he has a couple intel bulletins for Kuba wagons for the movement speed, so they are going to be moving across the map at a pretty high rate of speed. And we have infantry sections creating some sandbags at the very first territory point for the British, and we have two Vickers heavy machine guns coming out for the British. And now the Kuba wagon starting to suppress the infantry section here right off the bat, and however they do have some pretty good cover behind that sandbags, but did get the suppression as they hadn't completed it just yet. So that Kuba wagon is going to hold them there for a little while. Meanwhile, these Stern Pioneers moving on up and going to be taking that center victory point while these are all suppressed. And the Vickers heavy machine gun all the way in the back there, and the first one here coming over the right side. Now the Stern Pioneer is going to run up and take out these infantry here at close range, and going to force the retreat on these infantry there, only losing one man in the squad. Not too bad there. Vickers heavy machine gun now taking the fuel point, and it is set up with a wide arc of fire right here, so those Stern Pioneers not going to be able to really go over there and take that. The Kuba wagon going to be moving over there, but going to get shot up by that Vickers there, and going to have to be going to force the retreat on that Kuba wagon. And actually doesn't fire, as he wasn't in the arc of fire for long enough, and now the Stern Pioneer is going to be repairing the little bit of damage that is on that Kuba wagon. And there's a Rakettenwerfer, a very, very early Rakettenwerfer, so it is a questionably early Rakettenwerfer. I can't seem to talk today. And we have the Universal Carrier coming out. So in fact, it actually is a pretty good idea to have that early Rakettenwerfer with that Universal Carrier coming out so early as well. So it's sort of like he read the mind of the British Forces player there. Now two Vickers heavy machine guns coming over and setting up here. Both of the arcs of fire setting facing this way. And the Kuba wagon in a little bit of trouble now, as the Universal Carrier is after it, and the Vickers is going to fire on the side of it here. So now going to take it down to probably less than half health by the time it gets out of there. And the Rakettenwerfer is now set up, waiting for that Universal Carrier. This is going to be a very excellent ambush. Here we go. Oh, and it actually misses the Universal Carrier there, so it was a good ambush. And fires again, but misses again there, and now forcing the retreat on that Rakettenwerfer because of that MG there. And going to pick that up and run home, but keeps losing the crew members of that. And now taking some of the lower territory points back for the Wehrmacht, or for the OKW here down at the bottom. And Rakettenwerfer on the way home. Going to have to reinforce that. Stern Pioneers inside the building here, firing back at the Universal Carrier, but it is way too far for these Stern Pioneers to do too much damage here. Now the MG going to set up against this house as well, so quite a bit of machine gun fire on that house, so they escape out the back and could hop the fence there and get away. Infantry section now moving down the road here, spotted those Stern Pioneers and should hop over this stone wall here, maybe perhaps get inside that building there and fire back. Meanwhile, on the right side here, the British forces do have the right side victory point. 2 victory points for the British forces, leaving the score at 500 to 488. Now Stern Pioneers firing out the Universal Carrier a little bit too close now. Now the Universal Carrier is actually going to take some pretty decent damage from these Stern Pioneers there, and you can see its health going down now, just above half health, and got a little bit too close. Don't want to get too close to Stern Pioneers, as they do some of the highest damage in the game, other than a few other units, but for engineers they certainly do. And now the Universal Carrier and infantry moving down the left side here. The Kuba wagon going to meet that Universal Carrier, but the Universal Carrier typically destroys a Kuba wagon. And as you can see, the Kuba wagon already losing dramatically in this battle here. The infantry creating more sandbags here, and the Kuba wagon now has to back up. But it does have a couple intel bulletins there, so it does increase its speed quite a bit as it can move around the map pretty well now. And Scruffy saying GG already. The British forces appearing to already be winning the game. And Spanky says GG with a question mark. Now 3 victory points being held by the British forces here. So all 3 victory points taking down the OKW very quickly here. 500 to 448 now. And that Rakettenwerfer is set up over here, just in case that Universal Carrier moves over to the right side here. But more than likely, it's going to be moving to the left side there, as he pretty much knows there can't be really anything that's going to attack him all the way over here. Now the Universal Carrier in a little bit of trouble here. The Stern Pioneer is going to chase it, but it will get away just fine. It's at a quarter health, so it could be repaired back up. And over on the right side, that Vickers still holding that right side victory point.
Our capture point.
Rakettenwerfer still chilling in the back here. Should move that up just a little bit. Try and get in range of that Universal Carrier there. Meanwhile, Stern Pioneers are taking the center victory point here. So at least going to take back some kind of territory. British forces did upgrade the amount of men in the infantry squads there, so now has 5 and could have 5 in this one. As soon as he goes back and reinforces, Stern Pioneers now right up in the face of these infantry here. They were completely pinned, and the Stern Pioneers destroyed the Universal Carrier there. Now infantry trying to get around the Kubelwagen and are now firing at the Rakettenwerfer. Probably not the correct thing to be firing at, since a Kubelwagen is suppressing your troops currently. And now gets the retreat off before those Stern Pioneers get a little bit too close to him. And Kubelwagen still firing there, but did not get any additional kills. Could chase him down a little bit and perhaps get a kill, but somewhat unlikely. Now the MG here, Vickers getting inside that house and going to start firing on this Kubelwagen very soon, so going to have to back off as soon as possible there. Infantry in this house as well, so the Kubelwagen really has no way of advance through that area. Going to have to just back up. Now salvaging that Universal Carrier wreck. And now a Vickers is in the center victory point there, holding that as well with the Arc of Fire. Stern Pioneers getting out of the Arc of Fire of this Vickers here, and soon they will get back up and start firing at a reasonable rate here. MG34 is set up at this house as well, so now we have plenty of firepower going inside this house here. However, the Stern Pioneers are locked in suppression because they are being fired at by troops, and whenever you have troops in suppression, as long as they're being fired at, they will stay in suppression. Now the MG34 is still firing away at that Vickers. The Vickers is going to start firing back very soon here, as soon as that Vickers can be set up in a window that is facing that direction. And there it goes. And there is a second Vickers going to be firing on the MG34, and that was very strange. He actually completely decrewed that MG34 very fast there. That was nope. Actually, there are troops, but they're all the way back here. That is very unusual to see them all the way back there, so spread out. That doesn't happen too often. That really confused me for a moment, and that kind of makes sense. A body flying around in the air. And now the crew magically has the MG34 all the way back there. A very weird bug going on right now. Kubelwagen has been destroyed by these Royal Engineers and infantry here. So he lost that while he was trying to micro the MG34 here. Now putting some sandbags here with the infantry and just creating those sandbags while they're on under fire. Not a big deal for those infantry apparently. And Stern Pioneers now flanking that Vickers. And could do some pretty big damage here, but the retreat is already underway, and down to 3 men in that squad. Probably won't get another one, so now the Stern Pioneers should go off somewhere else. However, that Vickers inside that house, they are going to suppress them as soon as they get into this line here. So they definitely need to keep their distance and stay behind this tree line so that that Vickers doesn't fire at them. Now Royal Engineers are on their way to back up these this infantry here. And MG34 still firing away, and surprisingly still has not pinned this infantry. They are behind pretty good cover, and now just now getting pinned. Infantry now moving up closer to the OKW and taking the munitions point now. So OKW in a little bit of trouble here, 500 to 325. So needs to react pretty quickly here and start taking back some of those victory points. And Stern Pioneers now battling out here with the infantry, but going to lose out pretty quick as those infantry have 5 men in the squad. That upgrade is super good, and they are behind excellent cover as well. Rakettenwerfer firing on the infantry, but not going to do too well. Perhaps could at least destroy these sandbags, and I was just about to say that when that happened. Destroyed the sandbags, destroyed their cover. Now they have to find cover behind some hay, and not as good. And now we have Stern Pioneers moving up towards the British forces side here and see what they're going to take, whether it's the munitions or the fuel point here, or even perhaps the right side victory point. And it looks like that is where they are going now. They did take a roundabout way to do that. Could have just easily went around there, but not a big deal. Now Royal Engineers looks like they're in chase. Perhaps he's seen these Stern Pioneers moving over here, so now he's going to try and see what's going on. He definitely sees them now taking his victory point and could be moving over there just now. Vickers is still set up here, and now an MG34 is going to battle it out, but the MG34 doesn't have as good a cover. These sandbags are pretty good, but the house is a little bit better than that. And so both sides should be firing on each other, but it is suppressed, so it's firing a little bit slower. And Stern Pioneers now moving over to the left side here to defend against this infantry section here, with Bren's and the infantry over here as well. And those Brens forcing the retreat on that Stern Pioneer there. And the Rakettenwerfer also backing up slightly camouflaged, so it is fine right now. Vickers here was destroyed by that Stern Pioneer squad. An excellent flank there, hiding behind that stone wall. Additional infantry now moving forward here.
Receiving enemy fire!
And now Vickers moving over to the right side here and going to take that victory point right back from the OKW. So OKW is struggling to take any points here. He has 3 Stern Pioneers, which Stern Pioneers are super, super good at low range, at very, very close range. But however, getting them to close range is another story. So these infantry here, if you were to try to run up to those infantry there, you would actually lose maybe 1 or 2 Stern Pioneers on the way, or at least a lot of health. Infantry now inside this house here, but going to lose out very, very quickly to these Stern Pioneers here. And there they go with the retreat already. And I'm very surprised that they're actually not taking too much damage there. Goes 1 out of that squad, and another one. So the rest of the squad is quite vulnerable now, and going to start being fired on by that MG34. It could lose that squad, and the OKW right now definitely needs that squad loss. And now 2 Stern Pioneers now moving up to the infantry here, and superior numbers on those Stern Pioneers allow them to get very, very close. And the Rakettenwerfer fires and almost hits his own troops there, and destroys those sandbags with that Rakettenwerfer. And now Royal Engineers coming to handle these Stern Pioneers. Stern Pioneers should just get back just a little bit here behind that cover and wait for these Royal Engineers. And they're salvaging. Not a very good time to salvage. And now the British forces successfully defended that left side victory point here. And on the right side, that Vickers still hanging out there and stopping any troops that come up along there. So need to figure out a way to handle that. Could bring up some Kubel wagons or just about anything, really. An infantry support gun could set one right here and just start firing on that Vickers. Stern Pioneers trying to take the munitions point here, but the Royal Engineers forced away by that MG34. And now the Stern Pioneers in chase of the Royal Engineers, and now moving up towards that left side victory point. They're going to take that back, and I don't think anything is really going to contest them right now, so it looks like the OKW could successfully take that left side victory point. Now the center victory point is neutralized, and the Stern Pioneers on the right side here did take care of that Vickers finally, and are now taking that right side victory point. However, there's some infantry with Brens now moving up close to them, and we'll send them running soon, so I doubt they will be able to stand here long enough. They did neutralize that right side victory point, but not going to be able to stand there long enough in that retreat on those Stern Pioneers, sending them home. And now the infantry are going to be taking back that right side victory point for the British forces. Additional British forces here moving over to the left side. Infantry moving up onto the MG34 and not going to make it. Going to get suppressed right off the bat there. And now trying to get back, trying to get out of the radius of that machine gun, but I'm not sure if they're going to make it there. May get pinned before they make it outside of that. And no, they did get pinned, but they're inside the house there. They actually sort of magic warped inside that house and will be okay now. The center victory point has been taken by the OKW. However, there are British forces troops right there already, and going to be taking that back. Royal Engineers and infantry now chasing the Stern Pioneers here, and we have some Obersoldaten here with the LMG-34 firing at the infantry. A little bit too much firepower here coming from the British forces. Going to force the retreat on the OKW very soon here. Only 2 Obersoldaten left in this squad. And although they are doing well against these Royal Engineers here, Royal Engineers now retreat, but there is that infantry squad still left with those Brens just absolutely eating up those Stern Pioneers. The two-star Stern Pioneers now retreating away, and now the infantry going after the Obersoldaten. However, there are Stern Pioneers coming up behind the infantry here. Going to get a really good flank going on. And should be able to do some pretty good damage, just needs to stop them first. And now doing big damage to the infantry there, and we'll see who wins out on this sort of an interesting battle. The British forces choose to retreat first there, and looks like they were losing pretty significantly. Another Stern Pioneer is going to be moving over to the right side victory point there and take that back. Now 2 victory points belonging to the OKW. Score so far, 459 for the British forces, 186 for the OKW. And so the OKW trying to turn this game around here, and they did pick up that Vickers heavy machine gun, and now going to place that on this right side victory point here. I'm going to point this right at the infantry here. and should begin firing, and chose to fire at the trench there, and should start firing at this infantry here soon. If they are in sight range, I believe they are. It doesn't look like that. And now Storm Pioneers taking the territory point in front of the British forces base here. So the OKW turning the game around slightly here with a whole bunch of Stern Pioneers, an MG34, and that Vickers that they had picked up. Now the Obersoldaten 2 will be coming back on the field. Raketenwerfer still hasn't done too much. That Raketenwerfer didn't really get too much opportunity to attack that universal carrier, but it is there, and sort of discourages his opponent from getting any kind of armor because he knows that that is there. Now the British forces here trying to hold the center and trying to take this back from the OKW. We have Stern Pioneers in this house here, Obersoldat with that LMG-34, and infantry on the other side. So 3 infantry for the British forces and just 2 for the OKW trying to defend the center here. So a raging battle going on. And 2 men left in this infantry section. A grenade goes off inside the house there, forces the retreat on those Stern Pioneers. Need to get rid of that mine detector, need to put that away so that he can battle a little bit better. There's also a mine detector on this Stern Pioneer as well. Should put that away for now until he discovers some kind of mine. Also a mine detector here as well. So triple mine detectors on his Stern Pioneers, but unfortunately he's using them in battle with that mine detector. So that means that only 3 out of 4 of those Stern Pioneers are actually firing. Infantry battling out here with the Obersoldaten still. The Obersoldaten holding out pretty well and getting quite a bit of kills. 8 kills on that Obersoldaten. And now Stern Pioneers now moving up and trying to get the flank on these infantry, trying to get around those sandbags there. But unfortunately has to retreat a little bit too early there, down to half health with 3 men in the squad, and now additional Stern Pioneers. As you can see, that's the problem with the Stern Pioneers. They're super good at close range, but as you can see, as he was moving up towards those infantry there, he lost one before he even really got the chance to fire. So that is the problem with the Stern Pioneers in the mid and late game. They're very excellent at the very start of the game, but not so much later on, as all the veterancy from long-range infantry just sort of takes them out before they can even get to you. And now the British forces owning 2 victory points again, so taking down the OKW score 403 to 174. We'll check out the resources here, 42 and 26 for the British forces, for the OKW 35 and 19. So pretty even actually, as the OKW gets sort of a nerf in their resources. They get less resources from territory points, munitions, and fuel points. So if they're even remotely near your resources, then they are pretty even indeed. As with OKW, you sort of work with a handicap. Now the infantry here battling out with these Stern Pioneers and losing the battle here. Just a small sliver of health left on the 2 of those. And if he would have actually waited on the retreat for even just a couple more seconds, would have probably lost that whole squad there to those Stern Pioneers. Now taking that back, Stern Pioneers looks like they're going to put down some shoe mine 42s, and I doubt he's going to be able to get this off. No, chooses to cancel, creating that shoe mine there, and forces the retreat, but now it is halfway complete. Could complete that another time, and that is a very excellent spot to put a shoe mine. As you can see right behind the sandbags there, any troops that decide to use that sandbag gonna feel the wrath of the shoe mine there. Infantry holding the right victory point here, and the OKW successfully holding the left victory point here. Now the center victory point has been neutralized, right victory point owned by infantry, and the left victory point owned by the OKW there. So right by the British forces, left by the OKW, that is. Now losing that Vickers heavy machine gun, it was decrewed, and now we have a Centaur out on the map for the British forces, and moving through, taking out some of those stone walls there, and moving towards these Obersoldaten and Stern Pioneers. So now big trouble for these troops here, and gonna have to run away. The OKW so far really has no way to deal with this, except that there is a Panther now out on the field, just as I said that too. Panther and the Centaur narrowly miss each other there, and he does have that Raketenwerfer out on the map, so you could bring that up along with this Panther here. Now the Panther and the Centaur battling out, and Panther doesn't really fear the Centaur all that much, and another blast from the Panther coming in soon here, and now down to about half health for that Centaur, forcing the retreat on those Stern Pioneers there. British forces still owning the center and the right side. Panther in chase of that Centaur. Centaur very, very low. Quarter health, 5th health on that Centaur. And we'll lose this Panther very soon here. One more shot from the Panther. Centaur is lost. We'll lose that Centaur very soon. That is, and now lost these Stern Pioneers can now salvage that wreck. More than likely, it looks like it was actually destroyed and can no longer salvage it. We have Fallschirmjägers now out on the field for the OKW, throwing a grenade now at the infantry, and they retreat before the grenade goes off. However, the grenade did its job, forcing the retreat on those troops either way. Now the OKW going to be taking back that center victory point. The left side victory point being taken was neutralized and now being taken by infantry here. And really only Stern Pioneers here to defend this. The Panther trying to back up over them apparently. And not very successful so far, just doing some circular backup motions over these infantry here and forcing the jumble on them, forcing them to move around a little bit, which sort of disrupts the firing of your infantry. But these two Stern Pioneers here really not going to be enough to take that, so that that Panther would probably be better off actually firing at those troops rather than just moving around on them. Stern Pioneers here pinned completely over this victory point here, and that MG there has a weakness here all the way on the side of the map, could easily go up there. We have some modified M6 mines out on the map here, and those Stern Pioneers were right next to them. They almost went off, and I'd say that's a pretty poor spot to have some M6 mines, as troops really aren't going to go up that way per se, but perhaps he put them there just because he knows that that arc of fire is non-existent there. Who knows? Now lots of infantry moving up here. 4 squads of British infantry moving right into the center now, sort of blobbing and sort of definitely weak, and hits the retreat button on all of them. And I think that was a mistake. I'm not sure what that was. We retreated every single one of his troops. Now we have Royal Engineers with Piats, and they're trying to get towards that Panther there, and a successful hit on that Panther, but down to half health on that Panther. So it looks like a couple hits actually hit it at some point there, but not enough to take it down. Now, Fallschirmjägers and Stern Pioneers now moving towards the infantry here. And now the Panther is actually firing at troops now, took off that focus fire. Or rather, the prioritized vehicles fire, focus fire, either way. And now the Fallschirmjägers moving towards the infantry there. 1 Fallschirmjäger left in that squad with a tiny sliver of health, very lucky. And 2 Stern Pioneers now taking the left side victory point, the center victory point belonging to the OKW, and the right side victory point belonging to the British forces. So score so far at 403 to 104. So the OKW definitely in trouble here. And now bringing up a 6-pounder right in front of this Panther. Gotta watch out. It's going to start firing any second now. As soon as he sets this up, and he's bringing it way too close to that Panther there. That is definitely not how you do that. Now these Stern Pioneers reacting and moving right up to that 6-pounder there. I'm going to try and decrew that as soon as possible, and decrews it virtually immediately there. And now retreating those Stern Pioneers. Those Stern Pioneers definitely needed the detectors on for just a moment there, as that package helps you repair a little bit. I believe you have to have the detector out to help the repair, because the package actually helps you repair. But I'm not sure if you have to have the package out or not. Actually, I should look that up. That's a pretty good question. Stern Pioneers now firing into the house of this Vickers heavy machine gun here, and forces the retreat on it barely with a tiny sliver of health with 2 men left. Fallschirmjägers now moving forward here, and infantry took the place of that Vickers inside this house, and just 2 Fallschirmjägers left, and going to throw a grenade inside this house here. There it goes, but getting the infantry out just in time and then putting them back in there. So definitely a good move. Now 3 Stern Pioneers, 3 squads of Stern Pioneers now moving towards this house here, and so huge fire is about to go inside this house. But the infantry holding out pretty well against it, but losing very quickly, because you can see the health going down very quickly there, and gets out and forces the retreat. Now additional infantry are going to take their place, but nope, decides to get back into the other house, and 2 Stern Pioneers now inside this house, and an additional Stern Pioneer outside, hiding behind the stone wall, firing into this house. So those infantry won't last too long. The left side victory point belonging to the British forces, and the right side victory point also belonging to the British forces. So the OKW going down in points again, 94 to 403. And now Stern Pioneers right outside the house here, firing in and taking out the infantry very, very quickly. So this is going to cost our British forces player quite a bit to have to replace all this infantry here. May actually decrew, or actually not decrew, but actually take out that whole squad, but no, does not. And now going to retreat all of his Stern Pioneers there to reinforce all of them. And now the left side victory point going to be taken by this Rakettenwerfer here if nobody reacts to that. Now the Panther here firing into the trench with that Vickers. And it seems like that Panther having a little hard time firing into it, as this Panther has been here for quite a while. I seen it on the map earlier. And now the center victory point being taken by British infantry here, but Fallschirmjägers and an MG34 trying to contest that. Now throws a grenade on these infantry here, and they're going to eat that grenade and takes out only one, but actually did quite a bit of damage to them too, and forces the retreat, which is good enough. And now infantry inside this house here. A small sliver of health left on this house. This house will collapse very soon here. Probably one grenade could potentially destroy this house here. Bundled grenades have 7 seconds left on that cooldown. The Rakettenwerfer did successfully take that left side victory point, and now the MG34 moving into the center victory point. And need to throw that bundle grenade inside that house there. Could actually collapse that whole house. And now a Panzer II is out on the map and going to battle it out with the infantry here. And there's a Vickers heavy machine gun firing at it, but not a big deal for the Panzer II. And the center victory point will be taken by the OKW with that MG34. And the Panzer II forces the retreat on those infantry here, and the Vickers just firing away on that Panzer II. They need to get up and retreat as well. Royal Engineers with a Piat here in big trouble here. 3 squads of Stern Pioneers right up in their face, and may lose this squad here. He's just chasing them down, and I'd be very surprised if he didn't lose that squad. There he goes. It loses a Royal Engineer squad with a Piat there, so a fair loss. Pretty big loss for the British forces. They're going to have to replace that Piat with a new squad. Now infantry here defending this area, but Stern Pioneers moving up, and we have a 5-star Stern Pioneer. That's something you don't see every day. And now the Panzer II firing at these infantry here, forcing the retreat with all of those Stern Pioneers there. Way too much damage for the British infantry to handle there. Now that Panther moving up on this trench again, and it looks like it actually ran over a M6 mine there. And now its engine is thoroughly damaged, and it's still trying to fire on that trench. I'm very surprised it hasn't actually destroyed that trench by now. It seems like the probably the worst gunner in World War II history inside that. Maybe he's a newbie. He just got drafted. And now the Vickers heavy machine gun is decrewed, the trench destroyed. Now a 6-pounder is firing at the Panther there. The Panther's in trouble because it really can't get away as its engine is so badly damaged, and we have Stern Pioneers now moving up to repair it. The Stern Pioneers could easily start repairing that, and there they go, beginning that. And now the Panzer II in trouble here. The Cromwell Mark IV chasing the Panzer II, destroys that Panzer II. And that 6-pounder still firing at the Panther there, but it was decrewed by those Fallschirmjäger. Fallschirmjäger would probably be best to actually pick that 6-pounder up instead of destroying it there. They could have used that against the Cromwell. Now the Cromwell going to be going around the rear side of the Panther here. Panther in big trouble now, and not going to be able to turn the turret fast enough, and going to take another hit or two before it goes off. And the Cromwell takes a hit there. Now the Panther will almost certainly lose out on this battle. I'd be very surprised if it did not. And one more hit, and the Panther is pretty much screwed. Now the engine has been damaged on the Cromwell, though. And where is that Rakettenwerfer? Rakettenwerfer all the way over here. And Quinn Scruffy says GG again. The British forces claiming GG already. And the right side victory point belonging to the British forces. However, 2 victory points, the center and the left side, belonging to the OKW. Now all of the British forces are virtually on the right side of the map here. And that's sort of a problem. They're not really spread out. They're not taking any territory. And I don't know what they're all doing over here. I don't even think he knows what he's doing over here, as these troops currently aren't doing anything. And these troops are simply building the trench to put the Vickers back in there. Now the Cromwell is backing up, crippling back to base, but loses that Cromwell to the Rakettenwerfer there. And just in time, too, he fired a smoke barrage there to defend his Cromwell. But the Rakettenwerfer fired just before that smoke landed, and actually destroyed that Cromwell. Quinn Scruffy claiming he has a 400 fuel, but he does not have 400 fuel. That is a blatant lie. He has 282 fuel, and he's not building anything, so he did not have 400 fuel when he said that. So I'm not sure why he said that at all. I think at the time he said that he probably had 260 maybe. And that means if you have 400 fuel, you're probably playing the game a little bit wrong. Both players floating a little bit high resources, 300 and 600 for Spanky. Spanky should be using his resources and the fuel, but perhaps he's saving up for a King Tiger or something else. He can't afford a Panther, and I think that is what he's building now. And he is no longer floating extremely high resources. He was indeed saving up for a Panther by the looks of it. And however, his opponent Scruffy is floating very high resources and not really using them. He could easily bring out another Cromwell.
Tactical adjustments need to be made.
or another Centaur for that matter, and take care of all of these troops on the map. Another Kettenwerfer has been put inside the building here. Fallschirmjägers battling out with infantry here, but they're in trouble here as there's infantry on both sides of them. And here comes a grenade now, but jukes, and it does not lose any troops to that grenade there. Infantry in the house now over here, and we have additional troops on the way here. Additional Fallschirmjägers trying to move over here. Should launch a throw a bundled grenade inside that building there, force the retreat on those infantry. But it doesn't look like he has enough munitions. He only has 46 munitions, so very, very low. Now 351 to 73 the score, and the OKW is still holding on to 2 of the victory points here, and now British forces in trouble here. A bundled grenade, and they're going to eat that, and loses one of the troops, and drops the a Bren there. And now that can be taken by the OKW. Looks like maybe he picked it back up. I'm not sure. It's sort of sitting there, but I'm not really sure. That's actually kind of odd. So now that Bren was sitting on the ground, but I think it was destroyed. I'm not really sure what happened there. And now 2 infantry running back to base here. Now the British forces actually running very low on infantry. Only 3 infantry, 1 Royal Engineer, and 1 Vickers compared to 3 Sturm Pioneers, 2 Fallschirmjägers, an MG-34, the Rakettenwerfer, and now a Panther back on the field again. And so now the British forces are in a little bit of trouble here. The OKW can take over and take that right side victory point back. The salvage goes on that Cromwell there, giving our OKW player a little bit more resources. And now taking the territory point and another territory point directly in front of the British base. So now the British in big trouble here. And now taking this territory point as well. So far, the OKW has taken 3 territory points in a matter of 10 or 15 seconds there. And now a Centaur is out on the map for the British forces. Wrong choice at the moment, as that Panther is already out, but it was the correct choice a little while ago as there's so much infantry on the map. It was a pretty good choice, but the Panther just going to chase it down and take it out, so now he's in big trouble here. Doesn't have any units with Piats, and he doesn't have a 6-pounder out just yet. It is about halfway completed. Now Quinn saying a boring game, but I think it was a quite good game, and now the Panther takes out of that Centaur, and now the Panther owning the map here. There's really nothing that's going to contest this Panther here, except for that 6-pounder that's going to come out. But good luck destroying a Panther with a 6-pounder without the Panther driver actually reacting to it. Because the Panther can take quite a bit of hits, and unless you're completely AFK, you can see that you got shot 1 or 2 times and start backing off, so not too big of a deal. Now the infantry all running back to base. Virtually the entire British army is in retreat right now. He is sort of pretending he is France right now. In full retreat. Now the 6-pounder here moving forward, and some shoe mines going down all over the place here. One of the shoe mines actually took out some infantry on the way back to base, and did not complete that shoe mine. Not really sure why there. And now repairing up his Panther, only had a small sliver of damage on it, and the Fallschirmjägers seem to be firing into this house for no reason, but why not, as you have nothing better to do. And now Sturm Pioneers moving towards this sector again, and should complete these shoe mines. Here's some shoe mines going down, and probably going to complete those mines as well. And now the Panther going right up to the bunker here, the trench, and not firing on it at all because he has the prioritized vehicles firing, and the shoe mine is now down. Shoe mine over here as well, so now got to watch out for that. And I know the playback is over. Scruffy had GG'd out. He was definitely losing the battle. As you can see, the OKW just held the entire map. And although Scruffy had quite a bit of resources, he simply just didn't use them correctly. He could easily bring out another tank right now and be totally fine. As you can see, he has more than enough money for just about anything. A Sherman Firefly, a Cromwell. He can pretty much bring out anything with the money he has, but he decided to quit and didn't really use his resources quite well, and said that he had 400 manpower or fuel when he really only had about 270, 280, something like that. I didn't actually see the exact value, but he was basically full of shit and just talking shit, I suppose, and said GG way too many times early in the game. Just reserve GG for when it's actually GG. As when you say GG about halfway through the game, it's sort of just a blatant dick move, really, and really you want to reserve GG just to be a good sport at the end, you know, GG, whether you won or lost. So reserve that for the end, guys. And now the Stern Pioneers here still chilling, shoe mines all over the place. I think the OKW definitely won. They just simply, it was just attrition, really, and just took out so many of the British forces troops over time. And the two Centaurs, I think, were the greatest choice, as the Panthers completely dominated them 2 times over there. But I think it was a really great game. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.